on to our next speaker. If you have any questions to ask of Debbie, perhaps you could come up at the end and she'll speak with you. Our next speaker is Khawla Baker from Emek, Yezreel College, and she's going to speak to us on the meaning of tight-lipped Arab women in marital problems. Could you please take your questions until the end? Thank you.
Thank you. I'll talk about a cultural term which is used for respected women, and it's called Mastura. A Mastura behavior is a noble and respectable behavior for Arab women that demands them to keep their marital life private and discreet. Some families in the Arab world abuse the concept of Mastura, silencing the voice of women, causing them to live in deep loneliness with their social and psychological disappointments. At large, marriage in the Arab society is still an extended family procedure. Families of origin of the couple have to interfere in the marriage decision, put their conditions, and offer their support. In Arab traditional societies, the two families of origin arrange the marriage, negotiate the relationship, and make all the decisions, including the depth of the acquaintanceship itself. Centuries of Muslim religious rules and gender seclusion developed two systems of social norms in Arab societies, one for each gender. Men have to financially support women and children, make all life decisions, order women, which includes their mothers, sisters, wives, and daughters, to serve them and to comply to them. Furthermore, they are obliged to learn to lead their families, communities, and society. Women, on the other hand, are brought up to be shy, modest, altruist, compliant to men, voiceless, and hesitant. One of the main norms Arab culture encourages in marital life is the Sutra, or the tight-lipped woman, who is described as Mastura, and wins a high respect from her surrounding. Adopting the Mastura psychological state means that Arab women should keep silent, never criticize her husband in public, never blame him for his deeds, never share her marital problems or frustrations with relatives and friends, and never describe her husband's negative manners to others. Relatives and neighbors who live usually in extended families or in small and close communities are usually aware of the suffering of such women. Nevertheless, no one comes to support her unless she asks for help. The psychological well-being of this group of women who imposed on themselves total reticence in order to comply with the social norms usually suffer from psychosomatic problems, depression, aggression against their children, nervous breakdown, and marital cutoff. Palestinian family, like all Arab families in the Middle East, is traditional in its structure. The core unit in the Arab society is the family, not the individual. And I think Dr. Dwyer is going to elaborate on that in his lecture this afternoon. Therefore, emphasis is on familial networks and personal close relations with members of the community. Social authority leans on masculinity and age. Women discipline children until females will get married and If they don't get married, then the family will continue discipline women, and males will reach and women will discipline males until they reach their early 20s, and then they will discipline their mothers. Despite educational, technological, or economic changes, society develops in a way that modernity supports tradition. The basic social norms derived from Muslim and Christian family laws are retained and reinterpreted to suit a modern context. The status of Arab women, Muslim, Christian, and Druze, has been influenced by Islam. Some studies claim that Islam improved the status of women in comparison to social conditions dominated before Islam, before 1400 years, while others show that in comparison to men, women's status will never be equal. The archetypes of the gendered religious laws, which men are accountable for women. B, the concept of veiling had penetrated deeply into the collective consciousness of Arab societies during history. The meaning of veiling varies from covering the body or parts of it, meaning also to separate women, including separating their ideas, voices, and influence from the society of men in all life aspects. C, the concept of nashes, or disloyal and disobedient women. Religious laws allow men to discipline their wives who are disobedient in family context or in social context. Discipline tools vary from humiliating women via using physical violence such as beating, or sexual and psychological violence such as abandoning women's sexual needs, or using the severe social punishment of divorce. Beside the universal causes of psychological stress, one may find in the Arab society some social and cultural ones. In the Palestinian Arab culture, there are three predispositions among the cultural norms affect the outburst of psychological problems among some educated Palestinian women. The first of one is the gender judgment of feelings within the family. One may find that each gender within the Arab society learns to use feelings acceptable culturally to that gender. Adopting expressions of feeling that belong to the opposite gender puts the person under harsh social sanctions. Arab women are expected to express soft feelings as fear, miserability, and helplessness. Men are expected to express harsh feelings such as anger, nervousness, and revenge. B, contradicting requests of social norms. Arab women nowadays live in a double-bind situation. Each decision they make for their lives, they find groups among their community that dare to interfere in their decision and to criticize it. For instance, housewives are judged as an interferer and criticized for not taking part of the family economics, while working women are criticized for not taking care of their homes as good as other housewives. Arab men keep themselves out of this social judgment since they are not asked culturally to take responsibilities over children's care and housekeeping. The overall feelings of such women are psychological and physical exhaustion. Arab women often feel that society is an intimidating factor and that forbids them to fulfill themselves. When a woman makes a choice which contradicts social expectations, soon it would be used as an evidence of her disloyalty to her society. At large, Arab men are not aware of the influence of the social stress on the interpsychic dynamics of Arab women. Therefore, they are not aware of the depressions, animosity, disappointments, and learned helplessness of women in their lives. Surrender behavior resulted by psychological distress is very similar to the obedient behavior demanded culturally from Arab women. This is another reason why many psychological problems are not seen among these women. The third reason why there are more women in distress than men is glorification of the silenced pain. I will go again to the meaning of the Mastura woman. It's very complex meaning. A Mastura woman is one who suffers silently for a long time without complaints. Its origin in Arabic means covered, not naked, veiled, modest, quiet, with good manners, and private. Each one of these means Mastura. Mastura woman is one who never, the opposite of the Mastura is Mafduha, which means a woman who is scandaled, lost, dirty, without dignity. A Mastura woman does not accept her life in the deep Rogerian psychological meaning. In acceptance, a person understands the circumstances and acclimates with them in a way that does not cause psychological harm to himself or herself. Acceptance is a healthy confrontation dynamic. The acceptance process empowers the accepted person. The behavior of the Mastura woman is absent of the acceptance and empowerment. The dominant psychological state is the broken self. The most suitable psychological term of the state of the Mastura is the learned helplessness. Learned helplessness is a psychological phenomenon studied by Seligman and others, which states that people learn to score their appreciation of themselves very low as a result of many unsuccessful attempts to change their conditions. The reason of the failure is either the massiveness of the problems, the massiveness of the depression, the oppression, or the distrust of their surroundings against them. Young Arab women learn from an early age that society respects women who suffer silently. A popular Arab proverb praises women who have a mouth which can eat but never talks. The more a woman suppresses her difficult feelings resulted by her family relations, never sharing them with others, the more her surrounding will judge her as a directing her life successfully. Consequently, she will be highly respected. The culture of mental health therapy remains unfamiliar in the Arab world. Most of the therapy known is that of psychiatrists who work according to the medical approach. Arab clients have grown to expect to receive a fast-working perception from the doctor. Other services have not developed for the following reasons. The ideal silence of secrecy. Arabic norms commend the individual who keeps his or her psychological problems secret and does not reveal them to others. An Arab saying states, a complaint to anyone other than God is humiliation. Arabs perceive events in their lives mainly according to the external locus of control. Therefore, most therapy starts with narrations that complain about someone. 2, persons who are in great need of psychological support and who cannot find it in their immediate social surrounding find alternatives, either by turning to religion or by gradually disattaching themselves from the core of their problems or venting their psychological problems via psychosomatic diseases. The latter facet is the most widespread alternative among Arabs, among women in the Arab world. Women allow their body to tell their pain and express their psychological distress. Arab society accept leaning on religious references that medical diseases may be chronic or terminal with more understanding than it accepts the symptoms of psychological distress. While traditional Arabs relate to medical disease as a type of religious destiny and sympathize with the sick person and the family, they are afraid of the mentally or emotionally distressed person. Furthermore, they relate to the situation as a type of punishment and veiled message from God to the person or to his or her family. When symptoms of psychological distress arise as a result of pressures in marital relations, they usually appear in the wife and not in the husband. The common reaction of the husband and his environment to this phenomena is to blame the wife for being a failure in carrying marital responsibilities, thus re-victimizing and re-pressuring her. Often the wife's family will be blamed for not preparing their daughter for her marital duties. As a result, the wife's parents usually try to understate the psychological stress of their daughter, forcing her to confront her problems silently. A third of Palestinian women inside Israel work in paid jobs. I emphasize in paid jobs because all of them are working. Many of them are working in family business, but they are not paid. In the Arab world, the proportions vary between 18% to 41% of the labor force. In spite of this, Arab society continues to regard a woman's work as secondary to her role as a housewife and a mother. It is not required from Arab men to add house chores or children's care responsibilities to their duties when their wives leave for their paid work. Working women struggle silently to find psychological balance in their lives. In addition to these demanding conditions, most of them are not appreciated by their families or communities as educated or career women. I will share with you a case, and I hope that I have the time also to conclude. Okay. Munira is the name of a female client. She was referred to family therapy by her family doctor after being diagnosed as suffering from deep depression. She was a 49-year-old elementary school teacher who was married to Elias, a 51-year-old bus driver. The couple had 3 daughters and 1 son, aged 14 to 27. Their oldest daughter, Rena, was a student, married to a wealthy man from the same village, and had 2 young babies. Munira and Elias were Christians who maintained Arabic traditional cultural lifestyle. The couple were first cousins who fall in love when Munira was in college. Her father rejected their relationship due to a hostile relation with his brother. Munira insisted on marrying Elias, sabotaging her relationship with her family of origin. Munira was the first woman in her village who continued her higher education. Her family believed that she deserved a better marriage deal than what she had chosen. The family did not want to make their refusal public since they were afraid of the community's rumors. As a punishment for her insistence, they took off their family and social protection over her life. Munira got married upon graduating. She lived in her in-laws, who run a collective extended family type. We still have that in the Arab world, where many brothers, male brothers, stay in the household of the parents, and then the wives just come in, and that's how they continue their lives. All family members' income was put in one account. The oldest brother managed it. Munira had been promised by Ilyas to start building their own home soon after their marriage. Alas, he never fulfilled the promise. His older brother used the family income to build his own home, claiming that Ilyas' turn will be the next. When the brother moved to his new home and became independent, Ilyas insisted to take responsibility of the family income. He made miscalculated decisions, causing financial problems for years to come. The family was not able to start building their house. Munira, who worked very difficult as an elementary school teacher and had her babies in the crowded house, argued silently with her husband to improve their life conditions. Ilyas used to silence her voice, claiming that it is disrespectful to force her demands on his family, reversing the gender rules. Ilyas and his extended family related to Munira as a housewife who went out to her paid job for a few hours a day. Munira had to do all traditional housework, including preparing homemade bread each morning. She used to get up at 4 a.m. to be done before she went to school. Ilyas was proud to behave as a traditional Arab man. When Munira asked him to help, he argued that his family will relate to him as a weak man who does women's duties. Ilyas became jealous of the respect Munira gained in her school and by the parents of her students. She was the only local teacher in her village. Parents consulted with her regarding their children's problems. Munira found in continuing education seminars both a font of her thirst to knowledge and a refuge from the stress she felt in her husband's extended family. She took all courses offered to teachers in her school. 2 years after marriage, Ilyas started humiliating Munira in public, accusing her of imperfection as a housewife. Munira used to hold her tears, trying to show respect to her husband. Ilyas knew that she never argued with him publicly because she cared for her image as a teacher and because she lost the support of her family of origin. For the next years, Ilyas constantly humiliated his wife whenever they had company. Ilyas felt inferior to Munira as a result of her better education, her larger salary, and the respect she gained at school. In order to regain his self-confidence, he renounced her duties as a teacher, amplifying her duties as a housewife. He forbade her to have a bank account in her name, depriving her to feel the meaning of being a working woman. He used to find opportunities in front of parents of her students to spotlight her defects. Ilyas succeeded to let Munira feel low self-esteem, low self-confidence, and to be confused of all her achievements. Munira claimed that she did not have where to go had she stopped Ilyas abusing her psychologically and socially. Munira suffered from high blood pressure and ulcer, which forced and enabled her to stay alone in her room for long hours. So the sickness was her refuge. Munira had her first nervous breakdown when Rana, the oldest daughter, fall in love with a very wealthy young man, Akram. Munira had learned that Akram's parents disrespected her disrespected Munira, for they have heard that her husband argued with her publicly. Munira understood then that she was a triple victim. One, a victim of her husband's behavior. Second, a victim of her silence. And third, a victim of the judgment of the community, who perceived her as a weak housewife rather than a unique, successful, and educated career woman. To add stress over Munira's psychological state, her daughter blamed her for the type of relationship she had with her husband. Munira refused to be hospitalized in a mental health hospital since she was afraid of the reputation as a teacher. This is against the Mastura psychology. She was hospitalized in a general hospital and was given antidepressant medications for 6 months. The cause of the hospitalization was kept as a top secret from everyone. Therefore, Munira's sisters and friends were not able to support or help her. During the years, Munira used sexual relations as a tool to convince Elias with her point of view. By the time she hated sex, hated Elias, hated her life, and hated to have silent opinions. She had suicidal thoughts, but she felt responsible for the public reaction her act would cause. Especially that her older brother was a priest. At the same period, a complaint by parents of her pupil, the first in her life, caused her a second nervous breakdown and a deep depression. Besides psychiatric therapy, her family doctor referred her to family therapy. I will conclude. I will not talk about the therapy itself. Understanding of the meaning of Mastura in Munira's life, and it was very difficult to bring her to start speaking because first of all she was very Mastura, very tight-lipped woman, and second she was in deep depression. And I said, you have doing this very well for the last 27 years. Can you teach me how a good Mastura Arab woman should behave? And for the next 5 sessions, she was teaching me how to be silent. So in this way, I gave her the opportunity to talk about her silence. And then she was deep into talking. And then I said to her, okay, this is your own way to prevent your family from being a mafduha family or not Mastura family. Do you think that they would care? And I said, I think that you did not commit suicide, so they will continue being respectful family. Your priest brother will continue being a respectful priest. Do you think that by telling them that either they will come here and listen to your story, or they will be in great community pressure, they would come or not? And then she asked them, and all the family came to therapy for the next 9 months. And then the main changes that had happened was that the oldest daughter, who used her mother as a housewife because she wanted to develop her career as a career Arab woman, started relating to her mother as the first career woman in her village. And then she took responsibilities of the household. And then the husband knew that if Munira will have her third depression and be hospitalized, then she will not be able to work, and then he will not have her income. He was willing to do 2 things. first of all, to sit each day for an hour with her and to let her speak about her own ideas as a Mastura woman for 1 hour. And he should not interrupt until she will say, I'm done. And the other thing was preparing food twice a week so she can have 2 afternoons off. And those 2 afternoons she chose to have her continuing education. These 2 things changed the whole atmosphere at home. And then the children knew that if they don't take care of their own things, because all of them, they were adults, they were 14 to 27. If they continue relating to their mother as the slave of the home, then she will be depressed, she will be hospitalized, they will not be proud of their mothers, then each one of them will not be Mastur or Mastura. So for their own sake, they started taking care of different things that freed Munira from the things that she was doing. Do I have more time? Okay, I'll stop here. Questions?
Is there a movement of change that is developing at this time?
Yes. Well, if we take a snapshot on about 140 million Arab women in the Middle East now, we may find some of them still live as women lived before 1400 years, and some other women are very career, open-minded, free women. So we have everything. If there is no more questions, I will conclude. Is that okay with you? Okay. As a young woman, Munira paid enormous price for her decisions. She lost the support of her family of origin and was miserable in her marriage. Her surrounding taught her to shut down her voice, to surrender herself to difficulties of the extended family. Therapy brought back her voice, taught her to re-examine the fourth scale in her family, to appreciate her uniqueness, which she never paid attention to, and to learn to negotiate responsibilities, duties, and rights. Being tight-lipped for 29 years, let all her family members be convinced that they do not have the right to ask Munira to suffer more or to continue accepting the difficulties of her life. They learned to be grateful for her behavior as a Mastura, which protected their reputation. For example, had she commit suicide, every one of them will be not proud of himself or herself in the small community. Her body developed psychosomatic illness as a language. She tried to communicate with her environment by stating that she was not able to digest her situation or to accept it calmly. Later, her depression helped her to gain the attention of her family members. They were too shy to let others know that their mother's emotional disorder, beside their fear to lose her income. Her continuing need of medications on the one hand and the family need of her income on the other hand shifted her perception of herself from a weak person to an empowered one. It was very good that she continued taking her medication, so the family knew that she still needs their support. Mutual learning of using responsibility and respect properly shifted helplessness, notion, and powerlessness behavior into a healthy control. Using the 1-hour daily conversation by the couple replaced the appreciation of tight-lipped Mastura, shifting it from forced behavior to powerful independent decision. While therapy encourages the disclosure of the personal experience as a first step of empowering women in therapy, bringing up Arab women to keep tight-lipped encourages the behavior of cultural helplessness. When disclosing the personal story is treated as disrespect to women's family of origin and to their husbands, therapy should face these meanings. Therapy should be able to offer a meaning for the discrete of pain for years and a meaning for the legitimate share of the pain while in therapy. Thank you.